Hey everybody, it's me, Jackie, again, and I'm here for the podcast Alpha One COPD Tethered Together by Hope. And I'm here with Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this interview. I appreciate it so much. Getting this awareness out there, I think, is important to both of us, and I think doing these videos will help.
It's a pleasure.
So go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me about yourself, or just anything you want about your Alpha One journey, and share whatever you'd like. I might interrupt you and ask you questions along the way, or I might just let you talk the whole time and then ask you questions afterwards. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, my name is Nancy. I am an Alpha MZ, and I have struggled with, I call them little traumas all my life and little joys too. And I didn't find out I was an Alpha for sure until a year and a half ago. Yeah. And how that happened was my daughter got cirrhosis
Oh, goodness.
at 30, 35, 36 years old.
Wow.
And she had an astute doctor. She wasn't getting, he thought she had, some other thing going on. But he was aware of Alpha 1 and he said, I'm going to test you for this.
Good.
Sure enough, she came out as MZ and she called me and she said, it's hereditary. She said, I wonder where I got that from. And the light went on. I bet you I know it was me, I said. And she said, Mom, I can't find anybody to help me. I can't get any support. She said, I got online, the Alpha 1 antitrypsin line, and she says, everybody has lung problems. Nobody has liver problems. And so anyway, I didn't, even though I suspected I might have it, I didn't do anything about it. I just, wanted to support her and help her. She had a transplant in 21 and she's still struggling. We don't know if part of that's the anti-rejection meds or if it's part of the DNA thing or what's going on because, there's a lot of autoimmune comorbidities with especially MZs.
Right.
Then in January, a year and a half ago in January, I got COVID.
Uh,
And I was positive for 2 weeks and I struggled for 3 weeks and all these lights started going off in my head. And I know that you said you're focusing on COPD, but I have had respiratory struggles all my life. My mother tells me when I was 5 months old, she was diapering me and all of a sudden I stopped breathing.
oh my goodness.
Obviously I lived through that, and if I take and sigh a lot, you'll see I'm not affected enough to be on oxygen. My PFTs all came out normal. I have one small nodule on one of my lungs, but both doctors say you're not liver or lung affected, and I don't believe it.
No, I wouldn't. If you're struggling, and they just some doctors are like that. They see MZ and they think, "Oh, you're just a carrier." I hate that term. We all do,
Right.
just a
Mhm.
carrier. And we know there's plenty of MZs out there that I know. I'm a ZZ, but I know more MZs that have more problems than I do,
Yeah,
and they're worse off than I do. So
it's true.
I hate that when they say that.
So then I remember being as young as 2 years old because my sister was 3 years older and she started kindergarten. She brought all these respiratory problems home, like school kids do, right?
Yeah.
I remember now I was born in the 50s, and I remember being in what they called steam tents at home,
Oh, yeah.
where they put a big sheet over your bed and you had a vaporizer, and I'd be stuck in there and I would just be in bed all day. Or my father would get up in the middle of the night and put the steam on in the shower and throw me in there. And then when I got chicken pox, I was very, very miserable. I had the lesions inside all my orifice, my mother said.
Wow.
And the doctor could only figure out then that I had some immune problems going on. Ended up with a hospital the day after the lesions went away and I finally felt better. I was able to go outside and I came back in and I had bruises all over my body. And I liked to climb trees and they thought that I'd fallen out of a tree.
Wow.
Ended up I had platelet problems,
Oh my goodness. Wow.
autoimmune from the liver. Platelets were being eaten up.
Goodness.
I remember being in the hospital and having fatigue so bad. They brought in my favorite breakfast, which was oatmeal, and I couldn't even sit up and feed myself.
Oh my goodness.
And thank God the nurse said, "Would you like me to feed you?" And I said, "Yes." And I just didn't want to move, you
How old
know,
were you at that time?
3 years old,
Wow.
3 years old. And ever since then, I've had problems with fatigue and different levels. Some days I still just feel like I don't want to move, I don't want to think, but I push myself. And even in college, I took naps and got laughed at. Never did parties, couldn't just. Never watched all the late night shows that everybody watched because I was in bed early,
Yeah.
but up early. And I did have tried to CPAP, when I was working, and that didn't help, but they did say that I had breathing problems at night.
Wow.
I still get, maybe 88, 89% sometimes at night, but the CPAP didn't help me. One time when I was working, a friend of mine said, "Why do you always sigh? You're always sighing." And, I just thought it's because I'm tired. But I've always also felt tightness in my chest. And my sister could never sleep with me because I'd always go on each side to get one side up that I could breathe. I didn't realize that was going on. Same with the other side, go back and forth and sigh, and it kept her awake. So, these things are starting to, you know, light up in my head. Oh,
Making sense now.
this is what's happening. And I didn't realize it till a year and a half ago. And I look back on all these things. And the interesting thing is, about 5 years before I started writing my biography, because my family never understood me, I felt so misunderstood. Even at 2 years old, I remember throwing tantrums like you wouldn't believe because I was so frustrated. They'd say things like, "You're just so sensitive." And I cried because I didn't want to go to bed because I was scared to go to bed. But they just thought I wanted attention. And so, the social and emotional effects of this disease and any chronic disease, I think,
Hmm.
really impacts people.
Yes.
And then I started having gut problems and brain fog problems when I was in my teens. And every time I tried to get help, they just dismiss it. Oh, it's stress.
Mm.
You're depressed. And finally, I got to the point. Oh, and then I had cholecystasis of pregnancy, really bad. Real so bad. I felt like I was 6 months into my pregnancy and I couldn't sleep at night because I felt like bugs were biting and crawling underneath my skin. No rash, just that sensation. Got my gallbladder out a couple years later because I had that rib caged feeling, which I still have, intermittent. So the gallbladder didn't take that away. And they didn't even believe in leaky gut, you know.
Hmm.
And they dismissed that.
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing. I had such gut problems. Socially, that was embarrassing too. Don't want to go into it, too much information. But and then finally, I was working in the field where I'd drive and go to people's homes and work with them, and I'd have to stop and run to the bathroom, and I'd have no warning. And you don't have leaky gut. There's no such thing. You're stressed, you're depressed. And so I went to go see a therapist. That didn't help me. And they put me on medications. That didn't help my gut. And when I had respiratory problems as a kid, what'd they give you? Aspirin and that really syrupy, antibiotic and that syrupy, anti to try to reduce your cough.
Yeah.
I'm sure it destroyed my gut.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
They always fix the symptom, not the problem.
exactly. Finally, before I even knew I had alpha one, I went to a functional medicine doctor who believed in nutrition, and I'm still on my nutrition journey. But it's true that your lifestyle and exercise. One of the reasons and I always pushed myself because that opens the chest muscle. Anything that makes my chest muscles work better. You
Yeah.
know, and I'd always feel better after I exercised, but I
Yes.
had to push myself through every day and to avoid the fatigue. And that's kind of been my basic story all my life.
Goodness, it sounds like a rough one. Sorry that you went through all that.
Wait, you know what? I feel like I got so much relief when I figured out Alpha One. It really explained so much.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
And I did have emotional traumas going up for lots of different reasons, but it made me curious. The physical and emotional problems that I had made me curious about life and people. and what makes people behave the way they do. And it opened a world of forgiveness for me. I think my mother had Alpha One too. They say, Chinese people say, people with liver problems have anger problems or irritation problems. And I think that is a good thing because it helps you seek things out. It helps you try to find help. And it also gives you compassion for other people.
Yes.
Like you say, what you're doing. We've been through so much that it gives you a purpose in life.
It does. It does. It helps me. If I said if it wasn't for my grandkids and me helping others, over the years I was diagnosed. I can't remember. I just did a video before this, so I can't remember if I said that in that video or this one that I was diagnosed 15 years ago. And at first, I was just like, I didn't know how to be. Should I be scared? Should I? I was with my 10-year-old son when I was diagnosed, and they told me I had that, and they were telling me, of course, stuff that didn't come true, but all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I be scared? Should I cry? I don't even know, but I don't want to cry in front of my son, and I don't want my son to be worried.
Yeah.
But you go through a grieving process, and I think it takes time, and like it's shock and a mourning process. You're mourning your old life, and not that you still can't live life and have a new life, but it's just a process, and I think I've learned that myself over the years. And then when I go back and see new ones come in the groups and see them like where they're starting at, I was like, yes, I was there.
Mhm.
I remember that feeling, and I just kind of feel like I try to tell everybody, just learn as much as you can.
Right.
The more I learned, the less scared I was and the better I felt. Yes, it's still scary. I mean, it can be, but it's, if what you're looking at or facing, or
Yeah.
the more you learn, the better I felt, and the more I wanted to help people and help myself. And so it's weird how, you start at that one spot and you just keep growing through time. And I see that now, and I know I've come a long way, and I see people that come in and, do their growing too. And it's a neat thing to see. I mean, we hate to have Alpha One, but there's been some great things that have come out of it for me for having Alpha One.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I didn't mourn because I mourned my daughter so much.
Right, right.
And
Yes, I
I
bet.
was 69 when I found out, and I went like, "Oh my gosh, now I know what this is all about.
Yes.
Now, it puts meaning to my life. Now I understand why I had such low self-esteem, why I had such social emotional problems." I mean, I was maybe, that sounds a little bit too extreme, but um, I just felt alone a lot, and I didn't feel like I fit in, and I felt like something was wrong with me, and so many little things. And there were a lot of other things that, compounded that. But all of our experiences in life, from the time we're little, the little traumas, the little joys, as well as the big ones, are what make us who we are. There are experiences who make us who we are. And we can we can use those for the good, or um, we can be glad for where where it's gotten us. I thought, when I found this out, I thought, I've made it through life. It's been rough, it's been rough, but people have had it a lot rougher, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
And now we know what this disease is, and they're working on it. And I'm still, I'm 71. I'm not on oxygen, yeah, I'm still, dealing with these things, but I've dealt with them all my life and I've gone through it. So, you know, I know there will come a time when it'll be bad, but
I
you know,
can't imagine it being on the end of finding out, being the mom, and finding out through your kid. I mean, I can't imagine that. I'm going to talk to another mom tomorrow.
yeah.
So I just can't imagine, because I feel now, even now, my kids, I fear all the time for them, but I just can't imagine being them being diagnosed first and then me have to
Oh,
go
well,
through that.
what? I never felt like even my family understood me. And my daughter is the only one in my family who has it. And I'm so close to her, and I feel like we understand. Finally, someone in this world under. She's a blessing to me, you know.
Good.
I
Yes, yes.
had no idea how much of a blessing she would be. I mean, I love my kids. I always have, and they've always been a blessing to me. And it's miraculous to me. But she's the person I'm closest to in life because we know we've been there. Still going through it. But and my son, he does not have it. I only have the two children, so it's ended with us, and she's not having any children. So, uh, you know. I can be glad with that, but that's another reason why I wanted to do my biography because I want my family to understand, and I want it to be a positive thing for other people too, you know.
How are you doing with that? I've always wanted to write a book, and I always say I'm going to. And
Oh,
every once in a while, I'll write down a couple notes and stuff, but who knows if I'll ever get to it. But I
well,
love.
yeah, I think everybody has a story, and if they can write it down, it's great. I put it down for quite a while, and then I was into this alpha journey for myself for about 6 months, and I thought, I need to get back because it's really changed my perspective, And I thought, this biography sounds really negative when I got started, but I wanted it to be positive too. I wanted to put celebrations and in every chapter of people or things or what it was that got me through things. I was born the year and the month that rock and roll got its history.
Mm,
And so it's part anthology. Every year that I put down, there's some music because that brought me joy.
love
And
that
that
music.
that connection with musicians, the music and the lyrics, I felt more connected to people, even my own family felt more connected with those people and that music than I did to people.
Mm,
And that and faith, and fortunately, my father had great wit, so laughter. Although if I laugh, I start to cough or have trouble breathing.
yes,
So it's
yes.
sometimes hard for me to laugh. But all of those things were what helped me have some joy in life, and you just got to find those things that keep you going.
Right, exactly. I believe that too.
I told myself if I do write that book and can get it published, I would only use it uh, to donate to Alpha One, use it as an Alpha One fundraiser because, other people or whoever, anyone who's been, like you say, through a chronic illness, I think. And plus I'm old, so it's kind of a historical
You're not
um,
old.
at this point. Well, I just turned 71, and people have no idea what the 50s and 60s of these things were like, you know? So it's part biography, part anthology, but
Well, let me tell you, you sure look great for your age. Sorry, as I was interrupting you about your book. You look great.
no, thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
think that, our bodies are miraculous and we have compensatory systems, I guess, involved that keep us alive. And I think if we learn enough about our body and how to take care of it, no matter what DNA we have, you look great too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, we can live a full life. So,
Great. I just want you to know we're not just focusing on COPD or the lungs. That's more, I want to interview COPD patients as well. And that's why I put the Alpha 1 COPD in there because it was on my list and I have started to interview somebody that had COPD, but their phone was having problems and we didn't get to do it. But we have quite a few people that we know that have just, COPD without the Alpha 1. And I just kind of wanted to add that in there because, we have so many
yes.
alphas, who have COPD. But I just wanted to add that so people know that I still don't know enough about the liver that I need to, and I'm still learning. And I do have mild liver disease, but we're concentrating on that too as well. But, if I get those stories, I'm glad that you were able to share those because we don't hear very much about the liver. So I was glad that you
Thank
shared.
you. Thank you. Yeah, that's both my daughter and I, that's our push, is to try to make awareness for that because so many people have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and I think they need to be tested for alpha one as much as the COPD people need to be tested
Exactly.
for alpha one. And yeah, and it's very frustrating as an MZ to, like you say, there's still doctors that my doctor went from carrier to not affected, you
Yeah.
know is
Yeah.
still dismissing and frustrating, but and yeah, I don't want to put doctors down because their training
Yes.
is not their
Right.
fault, you know,
Right.
and
They said they only get 15 minutes worth of training in school about Alpha One. That's it. A 15-minute lecture, and that's it.
and most of them only get paid to spend 15 minutes with each patient, and
Right.
then they have all this documentation they have to do, and then the insurance requires these things, and they have so many barriers. The system just needs changing too.
I guess what I was going to ask you before I interrupted myself about the COPD is what advice would you have for anybody that was just recently diagnosed or having problems, and just, I don't know, just what advice or tips would you give them?
Well, I think pretty commonly, one of the things that the first thing I would say, and it didn't used to be the first thing, but first thing I would say now is test your family members, the younger ones, the older ones, because that can be your support group for one thing. And the other thing is that you can learn together. You can help the next generation. And fortunately, I think we're going to be maybe seeing some cures.
Yes. That's, we have it, and that they have it in mice. They just have to get it to us, figure out how to get it to
Yeah,
us.
it's going to
You know,
happen. It's going to happen.
right.
And so that's the first thing, and to join a support group. And I love Franz, um, uh, Franz. I guess you call him his website because of the information and research group, because
Yeah.
he puts it in language of the research that you can understand. Of course, that's mostly for MZ, but anybody, not like you say, CDs or
Right.
MZs or anybody can, because it really is a liver. It is a liver problem.
Right.
You
It is a
know,
liver disorder. Yeah, that can cause. That's a lot of people have that problem too. Don't say it. It is a liver disorder that can cause liver or lung damage. Yeah.
right? And other
Right.
other systems. And I do believe in also the functional medicine philosophy that diet and lifestyle
Yes.
is your best treatment. I mean, you may need other treatments, but that, and that's hard, sometimes the hardest thing to do, you
Yes.
know.
Right. Yeah.
But, if you just take it a step at a time, you know, and find someone that understands you, because again, being understood is the hardest thing, feeling alone, and join a support group,
Yeah.
because even the doctors don't know how to support you.
No, they don't. They don't. I don't think they have. Like you said, they got so much going on. Like they only have, like you said, the time for 15 minutes. I have a great doctor I love that will email me. I can email him and he'll email me and he'll tell me, he told me, because I've only been with him probably the last, maybe 3 or 4 years. But he says, you tell me. He's like, you know, you know what you need more than I do, because he said, "You probably know more about Alpha One than I do." And he admitted that to me. He is a pulmonologist, but still, tell him things that I learn, and he's acceptable too. Some I had a doctor before that you couldn't tell him things. He's like, "Oh no, that's not right." You couldn't tell him. But I really having a good doctor, I think, helps too. Having that
They are
communication.
hard to find, and they need the education, and sometimes we're the only ones who can educate them.
Right. Yeah. That's
So
right.
since it's rare, I think a lot of them just, I'll probably be the only Alpha 1 patient this doctor has,
Yeah.
So
Right.
why is he going to concentrate his time and effort, you know? So I do bring him things, and it's hard. I did have an ultrasound done on my liver, and they asked me questions because they knew my liver was not what they normally see, and I told them I had Alpha 1, and the technologist was really interested. Um, then the person, the doctor who read it, um, said, "Well, yeah, I have a smaller liver than normal. It's irregular," and his diagnosis was suspect,
As
um,
what?
suspect
Suspect.
primary hepatocellular disease. And so what did my doctor say? It's just only suspect, you know. I don't think you're affected. And I'm thinking, you know, and then I realized, knowing the medical community, what he's saying is that there's no drug, there's no cure, So that's how you define whether a person is affected or not, is if you can fix it or
Yeah.
take away the symptoms. And so even the standard tests that they do, really are inadequate. So I think I'm hoping that research will show that the standard tests need to be changed too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But if we're not out there and we don't let doctors know, or
Right.
let people know, then we're not going to get the help. But it's amazing how much help we've gotten in just the last few years.
Yes, you're right. It's true. It's so true. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. It's been such a joy talking to you. You've been so nice.
Likewise.
I appreciate you very much, and I'll see you out there in the group.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.